All right, everybody, and welcome back to Show Choir Nation. This is the flagship podcast of the Homeroom Show Choir Network, and we are really rounding into midseason form. I'm your host, William. Alongside me is my co-host, Ethan, and to my bottom is our guest tonight, Michael. How are you doing?
Doing fabulous over here, Will. How about yourself?
I am doing pretty well. There are a few things that warm the big hearty bowl of mac and cheese right before a podcast. Ethan, how are you this fair evening?
I'm doing fantastic. Now, I know this could be a whole trick, but the groundhog saying that we're going to get more weeks of winter, this might be the nicest day we've had in a long time in the Midwest. So
I got 4 inches of snow today. I don't know what you're talking about.
Central Illinois is very nice right now, and I know it's only going to get worse, but hopefully it's a sign to come. We'll see. But yeah, I'm doing great down here.
Wonderful. And of course, while we're here right at the start of the show, it would not be a Homeroom Show Choir podcast if we didn't say, go check out homeroomshowchoir.com/blog. We already have a couple of recaps up from this past weekend, so that is super exciting. I hear there may have been a couple upsets in the South that we may or may not touch on a little bit later in the podcast. But for all of that, make sure to go to homeroomshowchoir.com/blog. Of course, make sure to check out Ren Millick and her podcast, Midwest Sound. That should have a new episode come up here really quick as well. And also our Southern contributor, Trey, was on the Warm-Up Rooms live stream yesterday as well. So go to the Warm-Up Room on Instagram to check all of that out as well. One thing, if you're watching live, it hasn't dropped yet, but if you're watching on the replay, maybe it has. We did a second episode of The Teardown last weekend. Ethan and I did. We hopped on for just one quick hour on Saturday evening to discuss the results that were coming in hot and fast and getting some live reactions to some stuff. We had some pretty interesting moments. I think we certainly might have had some fresh emotions in that stream, but the archive of the live stream will be posted to Instagram on Tuesday. So if you're watching this Monday night, not yet there. If you're watching this Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, later on in the week, it's probably there. So go to instagram.com/homeroomsc for that. All right. Well, it's about time that we get on to results. And we are going to start down south. We're going to start at the Albertville Diamond Classic, which we will now honorarily rename the Homewood the Network Albertville Diamond Classic. In the large mixed division, Homewood took a full sweep, vocals, choreo, overall effect over Enterprise, Donaldson Christian, third in large mixed. In middle mixed, Homewood Continuum took choreo and overall effect over Tift A Street Singing Company, who had vocals, and Hoover in third place. In small mixed, Rome Grand Finale swept over Chelsea and then Prattville in third. And in single gender, Homewood Nexus took best choreo and overall effect for the win. Tift Ladies Choice in second, and Tiftosterone in third place with best vocals. Enterprise Esprit rounding out that division there. Homewood the Network, this is their 10th win at Albertville. They won all three divisions that they were entered in. They took 7 of the 9 major captions that were available for them. Honestly, I don't know if this is too much of a story, but I don't think that we can move forward without saying this really does look like it's shaping up to be a classic, powerful Homewood year.
Yeah, and I hope so. I love seeing how strong the South can get. Homewood is one of those staple choirs down there that has always done fantastic jobs throughout the year. I can't wait to see where they go from here because it's only going to get better. Something that sticks out to me from this competition is Donaldson Christian Academy. This is a group that I believe got like 4th place in tier 2 last year or tier 3. I don't know where they were slated. But however, now in tier 1, placing 3rd overall, that is a huge jump for where they were last year at this point. So wanted to give a big shout out to them. And if you're Homewood as a program, you got to be happy. Fantastic showing. Yeah. And that's kind of what I had taken away from this competition. That tier 3 was Rome taking the win over Chelsea and Prattville and some other amazing choirs. I feel like that is a division that you don't really know what's going to happen before it happens, especially the beginning season. And to see Rome come out on top is a good sign for grand finale.
Yeah, and I know there was a bit of controversy surrounding the small mixed division at Albertville And we're going to save the discussion of division sizes and choir sizes for another week because there's too much going on in show choir this week to talk about that. And of course, none of the allegations have been proven true, right? They're simply allegations. We're not going to say who was allegedly named in those allegations, but someday we'll have a nice, cordial, calm, and collected chat about why, if you're a show choir, you really shouldn't be trying to cheat division sizes with your group size. Just a last thing that I wanted to touch on. 2 different Homewood groups took choreo and overall effect, but got vocals swiped from them. So is that a potential crack in Homewood's armor? Could that be something that gets exploited by Grenada this weekend at Oak Mountain? Could that be something that gets exploited by Auburn or Oak Mountain later in the year? We'll see. It's also early season Homewood, and usually they get out at Tallahassee or Jackson Prep or something like that, and then they really kick into full gear. So we'll see about that. We are going to move on to the Bloomington Kennedy Gold Competition finals in this one. Hastings Riverside Company taking the win. Best vocals, best choreo, and best band. Waconia Power Company, 2nd place. Wheaton Warrenville South, the Classics. 3rd place, La Crosse River City Revolution. 4th place, Bemidji Vocal Motive. 5th place, Bloomington Jefferson Connection. 6th place in the women's division. Wheaton Warrenville South took vocals and choreo over Hastings Dynamic Edition. And Waconia The Current. Lots of different groups, lots of different storylines. I'll toss this one to Michael first. Who is a group that really stands out to you out of these results?
So, looking at these results, one of the groups that's really standing out to me is Waconia. Waconia had a slower start to the season. I remember they placed 4th at their first competition and slowly started making their way up the ranks. I'm very happy to see that Waconia is starting to get their tracks this season and really start jumping into what their full potential is supposed to be. I was able to catch Wheaton Warrenville South this year on the live stream. Doesn't beat anything in person, but after seeing the live stream, it definitely felt like it wasn't fully there yet for them. Usually Wheaton Warrenville has a slow start to their season as well, so I'm excited to see what happens later down the road. And same thing with Hastings. Hastings in itself is doing a story show this year. I've never seen them do something so in depth. I think it's a Sandlot, correct? So I'm still waiting to see Go Sports. Can't wait to actually see that show and see what Ellie Jordan and Luke Warren have decided to do with the group. Super happy to see Warrenville South Esprit take first. They are my number 1 treble group that I've ever seen live or on live stream. So shout out to them. But overall, I think that these rankings from this competition are true to form for where we are in the season so far. And I can't wait to see what else happens down the road.
Absolutely. And just something that I want to touch on there, the top 3 generally, even though it looks like a Hastings sweep, you would think, perhaps that was a commanding win. Out of the 5 judges on the finals panel, Hastings took 3 of the first place votes. Waconia took the other 2. So it certainly wasn't a consensus. Well, it was a consensus because it was scored using consensus ordinals, but it wasn't every judge thought that Hastings was the first place show. Waconia had 2 first place ranks, a 2nd place rank, a 3rd place rank, and a 4th place rank. So Waconia's show was certainly something that there was not a lot of agreement on in terms of just kind of where the panel sat. Wheaton Warrenville South took 2 2nd place votes and then 3 3rd place votes. So no other. Bemidji had a sole 3rd place vote, but Bemidji was the only other group to get any votes in the top 3. So I think it was still very close. Like you swap like one of Waconia's 2s for 3s and one of Wheaton's 3s for 2, and all of a sudden you look at Wheaton taking 2nd, or like you swap like one judge in choreo and all of a sudden like a different group gets choreo. And I think just it goes to show that it's important to say, okay, even though Group A won the competition, took 3 captions, and this is how it played out behind them, maybe it is in some cases like a dominating 30-point, every caption was never in doubt kind of deal. In fact, I attended one of those competitions on Saturday, but a lot of times it's not. And so I think the other lesson here is that these top 3 groups are all very well into their shows. Like you said, Wheaton Warrenville South, especially their first time out, it might take a little bit, but I don't think there's any reason for panic as well. What else can you think about?
Something that jumps out to me and that I think of is Bemidji, especially after that drop you just had of they having one third place vote, which is awesome for Vocomotive. This was a choir that was teeter-tottering off the on the edge of will they be a finals contender as much as they used to be, and the fact that they got up to the podium spot with a judge is a great sign. Finishing fifth is great for them. This is a very great competition, especially with a lacrosse school that is up and coming, or a program, not school, community that is up and coming as a program. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm taking away from this competition. Lacrosse was a great showing. They didn't slip. And Bemidji showing that they might be a finals contender the whole way the year.
Absolutely. Just one final touch on that. It was Bloomington Jefferson was one of the groups that knocked Bemidji from finals at Hastings last year, and ended a very long final streak for Vocomotive. So for Bemidji to right off the bat come out this year and say, okay, we're going to plant our flag and it's going to be ahead of a group that beat us last year, I think that's all you can ask for, right? Is to continue moving forward as a program until you have nowhere else to move forward except winning all of the competitions. So again, I would second that. Great showing for Bemidji. We're going to go to Nebraska for a little bit now. We'll head to the Lincoln East Spartan Spectacular. Final results of this one: Gretna East Equinox taking vocals and choreo and the win. Elkhorn South Blackout in second place. Pius the 10th Spectrum in third place. Papillion La Vista South Titanium in fourth place. Norris Gold in fifth place. And Lincoln High Chain Reaction in sixth place. Ethan, I feel like we've been talking about Gretna East a fair bit now. This is certainly another big statement to add to their resume this year.
No doubt. This is fantastic for Gretna East. It's kind of crazy that I'm already saying like they are one of the choirs to beat already, and it's insane to say that because they're fresh on the scene 2 years in. What they are doing over there is fantastic stuff. Looking at this, I also have to give a shout out to Elkhorn South. They have had a very strong season up to this point, placing in the top three, seems like almost at every competition, or pretty close near. Pius, I believe this was their first time out, so them getting a third place podium spot is pretty solid for them. Titanium for Papillion La Vista, that was a choir that I thought might have the jump at this competition. Just taking things historically wise and saying that Gretna East might have some bumps in the road when looking at this competition firsthand. So seeing that they ended up getting a fourth spot kind of surprises me. They grabbed best band, which they always are in contention for, one of the best bands in the country. And another thing that grabs to me is Norris Gold coming off a win in fifth place. You just have to mention it, right? Like Gretna East, second place the week before with vocals and choreography. Norris winning them with no caption. At this competition, Norris is in fifth place, and Equinox did win Gretna East. So it's kind of one of those weird mind games that is just playing. But yeah, I think this was a fantastic competition for all these groups. And I think all of them showed out, especially Lincoln Chain Reaction, the one that you shouted out. So great competition at Lincoln East.
Absolutely. Michael, anything that you want to toss in here?
I'm just super excited to see what Gretna East is bringing to the table. After seeing I was able to catch their show on YouTube as well. Really interesting seeing another Thomas Edison set happening. And truly, I think that they're embodying Ben Eklund's choreography so well this season. I wasn't able to catch them last year, but this year, just seeing them, you would expect that these kids have been performing as a group or has been in the program for umpteenth amount of years. So kudos to them. Also, Elkhorn South, can't wait to see what they're doing with the Parent Trap this year. I think that that's such a clever theme for a trouble group. And then facing off against Papio South's Radiance, just seeing two Tory Brindis groups going head to head. It's always fun seeing when people have similar choreographers go up against each other and seeing what the outcomes are. So again, kudos to everyone performing at Lincoln East this past weekend. And Gretna East, definitely one to watch.
One final note on Gretna East, we will actually not see them compete again until Norris on February 22nd.
Wow.
So they are off this weekend. They host on the 15th. And then Norris is actually March 1st. So that is one more week that we will not see them. So they're off, they host, they're off, and then they compete at Norris. So it'll be a hot second, but that Norris competition, I think, is sneakily becoming one of the top 10 competitions of the year, just in terms of the absolute caliber of the groups that are going to be there. A couple other things I want to mention. For Elkhorn South, this is the first time that they've beat Papio South in 10 years since Grand Island in 2015. So a big shout to Blackout there. And then also Lincoln Chain Reaction. This is a program that has really come into its own after the pandemic. John Marquez was there for a year before going to Lincoln Northwest. And then what Colton McCauley and Seth Burke have done there. They competed very strategically last year at maybe some smaller competitions, made some finals, but then they're really stepping up to some of the bigger competitions this year. And I think both Ethan and I had Papio South Radiance over them for that 6th finalist spot. And we've seen prep or women's groups make finals at Lincoln East before. So for Chain Reaction to very clearly have a higher score, I think is a really good thing for that program. I don't know if we need another show choir juggernaut in Nebraska, but it's always very nice to see programs moving forward. We're going to just up I-80 to the Omaha Westside Competition of Excellence. Finals in this one, Millard West in the Groove, vocals and band and grand champion. Mitchell Friendaku, best choreography and second. In third, Lincoln Southwest. In fourth, Valley. In fifth, Grand Island. And in sixth, Millard West Uptown. The top 2 shows here were debuting this season. I really enjoy telling people that competing early really pays off, but I think there's absolutely something to be said for maybe holding back for that last week or 2 of rehearsals and then going for it. Out of either the Millard West show or the Mitchell show, I'll open it up to either of you. Yeah, what's more impressive?
I think holding off. So Millard West usually hosts their competition, then they jump right into their season. I don't think I've ever seen them actually compete before Music Lives. So seeing them win this competition with best vocals and best band is definitely going to light a fire underneath them to keep this trajectory up. Their show design this year is very clever. It's daytime into nighttime, very, very easy to follow all the way through. Their costumes are top notch. Really excited to see what they do at Urbandale. I believe they're going to Urbandale not this upcoming week, but the weekend after.
That
so
is
can't
correct,
wait to see what they do there. They're going to be seeing Mitchell again there. So that's going to be, again, another toss-up. And then Mitchell is one of those programs that starts their season. They don't learn their show until the end of December because they do their auditions in the fall. Then they do their Up With show later in the fall. And then it's learn their competition show and present it a month later. I don't know of any other programs who do something like that, but for them to come out and already get best choreo at their first competition of the year is something to be seen. And then Lincoln Southwest getting third. Lincoln Southwest is one of those programs that they're always top 3 at whatever competitions that they go to. And their Grinch show this year is so freaking awesome. I thoroughly enjoy it. It's just overall, I'm very happy to see what these results at Omaha Westside happen to be. I'm not shocked by any means, but it's really awesome to see that Millard West started off their year with this first place.
Absolutely. And I think the crazy part about Lincoln Southwest is that they only have one competition left. They host this weekend, and then they finish out at Lincoln Northwest in 2 weeks. So we are only on seeing that show on stage, which I think is crazy. Certainly a change from last season when they were battling it out at Norris at the beginning of March and then going to Wheaton as well. So a different season structure for them this year. I think it'll be sad to see them go so soon, but we'll see the semantics for when they actually end their season. Valley in fourth, that was a choir that I was really high on heading into this. You know, some days you have a phenomenal show and you wind up fourth, and that's just the way it is. I think, again, I just want to give a shout out to Mitchell. I think it's never easy following up such a big director change. And obviously, this is nothing new for Mitchell, right? When you look at when Chris Miller left, and when you look at when Jen Randall left, and even now when you look at when Nick McGraw left, like all of these things come with pressure. And when it's such a community activity like it is in Mitchell, obviously most of the time it's phenomenal, right? Because you have so much community support and whatever. But when you have that change in leadership, there's all that much more of a magnifying glass on your program. I was even brushing up before the weekend, and I was reading an interview that Nick Cabarros did with the Mitchell Republic newspaper. And I think there are very few show choir programs in the country where even before you hit the stage for your first competition as director, the local newspaper is saying, hey, can we sit down with you and just talk about your vision for the program and what you've been up to? And that's a daunting task. And so I certainly appreciate that Mitchell was able to rise to the occasion here, even though their schedule may be a little bit more local than in years past. Obviously, they're still making the trek out to Wheaton as well. I think that they will certainly play very well. And I'm actually kind of looking forward to their matchup with Sioux City East. I believe they're going to match up with Sioux City East at Bishop Heelan. Because as we roll into kind of our quick hitters, Sioux City East is all of a sudden becoming that name that it was before the pandemic, back in the Tom Hales glory days. So we'll touch on that in just a second. But I do think that's a great segue into our kind of quick hitters results for the weekend. So Marion New Creation, 3A choir out of Iowa, beat all the 4A choirs at Anamosa and beat Iowa City for the overall win. Ankeny Visual Adrenian took vocals over Walkie Millennium, who had choreo for the win at Ankeny Centennial. Onalaska, we are now on win streak watch for Onalaska. It is now 4 in a row for the Hilltoppers to start the season. They took vocals, choreo, and band at De Pere. I believe that's the most wins of anybody right now this season. I don't know if anybody else is past 2 right now. So Onalaska, they have 6 competitions on the slate this year, so they could see potentially if they would take an undefeated run and go 6 for 6. Roncalli Royal Rhapsody beat both of the Lawrences, North and Central, for the overall win at Decatur Central in Indiana. Reedsburg Corliers took their first win since the pandemic at the Eau Claire Memorial Winterfest, so congratulations to the Corliers. Center Grove took vocals, tied with Franklin Central for choreography, and took the overall win at Fishers. Grenada Visions took choreo over Tupelo Synergy, who had vocals at Jackson Academy. Marysville Swingers Unlimited basically cleaned house at Marion Harding. They took down ETCD All-Americans. West Jones Imagination took a real big upset over Brandon Brio at South Jones. And perhaps we will just be forced to talk about the South next week, because Brandon and West Jones are matching up again this week. They'll be matching up at Northeast Jones. And if we see the same thing again, that would be very, very interesting. Plainfield took a split caption win over El Paso at the Southmont Show Choir Invitational. And a couple of kind of meaningful wins. Carroll Magic and Sioux City East, the headliners, both took their second wins this year. Both of those programs had winless seasons last year, and both of those programs now have very quality wins. So Sioux City East taking their second win of the year at Sioux Falls Roosevelt, and Carroll taking their second win of the year at Northrop. So a couple of choirs to really keep your eye on as the season goes. And also Euclid Varsity Chorale, one of Ethan's favorite Ohio choirs, taking their, what I believe to be their first ever overall grand champion at the Walsh Jesuit Great Lakes Invitational in Ohio. So always great to see new faces break into the win column. Ethan, I think you're going to have to travel out to Ohio to see a Euclid show now.
I do. It's been too long. It's been too long since I've seen a Euclid show. Congratulations, Euclid, on a fantastic win. First ever win at Walsh at Jesuit. Fantastic for them. They're a program that kind of gets lost in that middle mixed division every now and then in that tier 2 group. The fact that they were able to come out with a win and stick it to Ohio. And that's kind of where I'm going with all of these Spark Notes, is like, I'm going to pick another one that is just like, there's so many storylines. Thank goodness we're in that part of the year that we could talk about literally anything. I'm going to pick one that not many people would point out looking at this list. Sticking in Ohio, Marysville cleaning out ETC. That is a fantastic win for Marysville. I feel like these are the top 2 choirs in Ohio that were battling it out for like the past 2 years or so. ETC has been on that rise, and Marysville coming off an undefeated season. So I feel like these 2 choirs.
I don't know if they were undefeated last year.
Marysville?
I think they were third at Chesterton.
Oh, they were. Oh, darn. Yeah, my bad.
ETC is coming off an undefeated
Yes,
season.
thank you. That's probably where I got it mixed up. Thank you guys. So, but the fact that Marysville was able to take this win from the get-go from ETC is big for them. And it's kind of funny because now you have Solon coming up right behind them as they want to be the top choir in Ohio. So I think Ohio's kind of a fun little battle going on between three choirs right now. And the fact that Marysville was able to get up on top on ETC right away is a big sign. And it's kind of funny, we haven't seen Finley yet. So who really knows what's going on in Ohio?
That is certainly quite the conversation. One of the other biggest upsets that we had this weekend was in New England. We had Waltham Music Unlimited taking vocals and choreo over Daniel Hand and over a bit of a surprise third placer. This all happening at Shepherd Hill. And then it was Lowell in fourth and Tantasqua in fifth to round out large mixed. In small mixed, we saw a very familiar face at the top in Scranton first edition. And then following up after Scranton in small mixed was Bishop Hendricken, and then Brockton in third, beating out Oliver Ames, Leo Minster, and Dartmouth. So we're going to toss it to our resident New Englander on the show tonight. I think obviously the headline is Music Unlimited taking a big win.
So I was able to be there to watch unisex and large mix this past Saturday. Shepherd Hill definitely was something to watch. Unfortunately, they didn't have a live stream this past Saturday. But after watching all the shows, this is going to be a very tight New England season. We still have yet to see South Windsor Choral Spectrum out here on the scene. This was everyone's first time out this season because Lowell did not host their Mill City Show Choir Festival this year because they're under renovations. The competition will be back sometime next year. But having Shepherd Hill be the first competition of the year, it was very unique. Let's just say that. Waltham decided to go the route of doing another story show again. Last year was a through line. It was just about being different and whatnot. This year it's more focused on the pressures of life, of being like a student, having a job, being a kid, and dealing with your parents and all that kind of stuff. And it was very interesting to see them tackle these concepts. Their first number was Staying Alive by the Bee Gees, and it was really, really good. The trebles were in these awesome silver romper jacket kind of things. And like they looked like professional workers. The boys looked really good in their gray suits. And towards the end of the show, I'm not going to spoil it all, but their closer this year was so good and entertaining. Their band was popping off, and their blend of their vocals this year is definitely something to watch, especially as they're about to go compete. Well, they're competing at Tantasqua this upcoming weekend, but they will be competing at Franklin Central on February 22nd. Seeing how they're going to do up against powerhouses like Center Grove. I believe Fishers is going to be there. It's going to be very, very interesting. Daniel Hand is in their 25th season as a competitive show choir. Their set definitely did. It totally caught me off guard with song selections that they did. Their ballad was so loud. It was really amazing to watch. I love Morning Glow. It is fantastic. The kiddos who were playing the characters definitely embodied being pirates. Very, very happy to see how they placed after seeing what they did. I was very surprised to see Andover place third. Lowell is now under the direction of one of my good friends, Evan Caverly. The kiddos did amazing with their first time out. They actually went out without their show being complete, but still placed very, very well in the eyes of where they were from last season. And especially them getting a gold medal after not receiving one in many, many years was definitely something to see. Tantasqua decided to do a story show this year. Them placing fifth was definitely not on my bingo card this year. They're doing the Giving Tree as their set. Their costumes are beautiful, and the song selections for that show, perfect. So Bryce French, Julie Boyd, Lexi, Braxton, everyone who's on that team, kudos to you for designing such an amazing show. Other director changes occurring this year are TJ Clifford and Emma Lemke taking over Oliver Ames. They were actually in my graduating class, so I competed against them when I was in high school. So seeing them back on the scene now is kind of awesome. Can't wait to see them at some of the upcoming competitions. To bring the prestige back to Oliver Ames, being in the program when Charlene Dalrymple, who was the director for 40 years, knowing the traditions and where they come from, is going to be something to watch, because I know they want to bring that prestige back to the program. And then coming up, there's other things. South Windsor, like I said, is going to be competing for the first time this upcoming weekend. I'm very excited to see what they bring to the table. They have a very short season. They're only competing at 3 competitions: Tantasqua, Somerset, and ending their season again at Bishop Hendrick's Little Rotary Rumble. Going to be very, very, very interesting to see what they come off with. They brought Payne Bellman onto their team, so having a female and male choreographer, hopefully there's going to be a lot more fluidity between our trebles and basses. And I think that they have a fire lit under them as well, because they're coming off of a clean sweep at the end of 2024. So we'll see what happens at Tantasqua. Right now, my top 3 for Tanty: Music Unlimited, South Windsor, and Vibe. We'll see how they throw it up. Very, very, very excited.
Absolutely. And we will we'll take our time and cover the Tantasqua Spectacular in just a little bit here. You know, you mentioned a ton of these names, but I think one thing that I do want to pick your mind on a little bit is, what's a storyline in small mixed? I feel like we have a couple more names in small mixed than usual this year.
So looking at this season in particular, you have Somerset, Berkeley Electrified jumping back down to small mix. They had a significant drop in members. Taylor Medina is still a director, and she's actually taking on a role of choreographer along with Zachary Moore this year. They're only competing twice this year in hosting. So the director decided to do 1 competition or 2 competitions for the treble group and 2 competitions for the mixed group. And then also you saw Shepherd Hill Fantasy drop down to small mix. Their program has declined in size over these past pandemic years. Shepherd Hill has a very, very distinct thing about them. They've been on the show choir scene for 45 years and have always been at the top of their game. They've just been constantly rebuilding since post-pandemic. We see Tara Tober coming into play and Jacob J. Jones being the choreographers. And this year, I'm very excited to see what they do in small mix. Becky Boussier is an amazing director. She knows what she's doing. And these kids are definitely going to be putting in the work to conquer small mix. I'm very excited to see what they do. Bishop Hendrick, shout out to my old school. Excited to see that they claim second place at Shepherd Hill. And then Scranton First Edition, I wasn't able to see their show, but I heard it was absolutely fantastic with a clean sweep and a gold medal. I'm very excited to see what they do at Tantasqua this upcoming weekend. I'm pretty sure that they will claim first place again as well.
All right, then. That's it's a bit of a bold prediction there as well. And just something, I don't know, Ethan, if you have anything you want to pipe in with, go ahead. But just a final thing that I kind of want to pick your mind on when it comes to New England. New England, I feel like, is kind of an isolated region in terms of there's a big break in between like the show choir land of New England, kind of in Massachusetts and Connecticut. And then like you have to get all the way through New York and New Jersey and Maryland until you hit Virginia, which is kind of the next big show choir area. So the groups don't really, like, you can't just go to the next state over and compete. You know, you have to make certain travel. But a lot of groups then make England kind of their destination for the season. So kind of a triple barrel question. one, who from New England is going out on the national stage this year? Two, who from everywhere else is coming to New England? And three, I see a new competition, Leominster. What can we expect from that?
So for groups that I know that are going out of New England, you're going to be seeing Daniel Hand Vibe going to Show Choir Nationals. It's going to be their first time going to SEN since 2018. They're definitely coming in with a vengeance. They did not place well in 2018. And this show this year is definitely better than what they put out in 2018. The show is arranged by Josh Green. It is very, very, very good. Then also you're seeing, like I said, Waltham going out to Franklin Central this year is the first time that New England group has gone to Franklin Central since 2014, right? I don't think there's been a group that's gone out to Indiana since 2014, actually in total, besides the FC trip. And then you're going to be seeing Shepherd Hill go down to Mechanicsville in Virginia.
Should be March 1st,
Yep. So they're going there. Coming up to New England, you're going to be seeing Pendleton Heights from Indiana coming to Little Rhodey Rumble. They just had a clean sweep this past weekend at their competition that they went to for both their groups. So very excited to see how they do out here. You're going to be seeing Hillsborough, New Jersey make their way back up to Rhode Island as well. Western Music Academy of New York is coming back to Little Rhodey Rumble. And then for Waltham, Mintino Magic from Illinois is going to be coming out. So very, very excited to see what they do out here.
Ethan, you got that Magic hat on tonight.
I do. What were the chances of that?
We love it.
Yeah.
Again, go sports. And then looking at the new competition for Leominster, I actually don't know what to expect. I haven't heard too much buzz about who's going yet. I believe Waltham is going, Andover is going, and Shepherd Hill's going. For those are the schools that I know of so far. You're probably going to see Dartmouth go there as well to break up the season. I know. So Leominster is a rural suburb, I should say. Outside of the Worcester area. I don't know if a lot of people want to make the trek just yet. They want to see how this competition is run. That's what a lot of folks did for Little Rhodey Rumble when Hendricken first started the competition. And a lot of the directors up here like to space out the comps and not have to take their groups every single weekend, so they have the breathing room for the shows to grow and develop over time. The only group up here that's truly going week after week that I know of is Waltham. Waltham is continuously going to comps because they want to perfect their craft. They have a brand new school, brand new auditorium, and professional everything. So having those new facilities, they want to use them, practice as much as possible. So very, very excited to see what this year rounds out to be.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned taking the drive to rural Worcester. How long of a drive would that be for most of the groups that would be doing this? Because I'm curious compared to what my expectations of a drive would be as a Midwesterner.
That's a good question. So from me, for Hendricken, you would probably see an hour 45 drive.
Okay. All right.
Andover is probably like 30 or 45 minutes. Lowell would be 30, 45. Waltham, same bet. The farthest group that would have the drive is Daniel Hand, which would be 2.5 hours. But I don't see them doing that drive this year to break up their competitions.
No.
That's it's kind of insane because in the Midwest things are just so spread out that like I would like sneeze at a 2-hour drive in high school.
So,
Like anything from 2 to 4 hours, I'd be like, all right, just load me on the bus in the morning and let me sleep on the way there. So
I was talking to a couple directors this past Saturday, and everyone's throwing it out to their kiddos. Hey, if the competition is super close, would you guys mind just driving yourselves so we don't have to do the bus? And a lot of you see kids from Andover doing that to Waltham and to Lowell constantly. And then Somerset's probably going to be doing that to Hendricken. Hendricken and Somerset are about 30 minutes apart from each other. So anything to not have to pay a bus company because those fees are super high, man.
They are. Speaking of travel times, we actually have a comment from
sweet.
someone who may have good knowledge of the situation that says that Daniel Hand Vibe will be there, so we can mark another group down for the Flamingo Show Choir Festival. Clearly, that drive is not too daunting.
Well, shame on me.
and I just where Ethan and I come from, like I think especially with Ethan, like Mount Zion is like the only competition in the Decatur area now that Decatur is Elite Energy is not a thing anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And like the closest comp now that Sullivan doesn't host either is Glenwood, which is like 45 minutes away. And it's like your floor,
Yeah.
And then you just like El Paso is farther and Manteno is farther and Troy Buchanan is farther. So I think, and I know like in Indianapolis and in Omaha and in a lot of these like dense metros as well, like I think if there's a lesson that I want to tell people that don't have to travel far, it's be thankful for it. Because then when you have an 8 o'clock in the morning performance time, you can actually make that happen at least semi-reasonably. So just kind of different strokes for different folks. But I think, each approach has its strengths and each approach has its differences. Mm-hmm. So well, with that, we're getting close to the quarter of the hour. So we're going to have to kind of speed run this preview section. Tantasqua is coming up. And at Tantasqua, we're going to have Daniel Hand, South Windsor, Waltham, Lowell, and Andover in large mixed. In small mixed, really big division, Scranton, Shepherd Hill, Somerset, Berkeley, Natick, Bishop Hendrick, and Brockton, and Leominster. And in single gender, both Andover groups, as well as Lowell, Scranton, and Shepherd Hill. Michael, I know you had talked about previously some of your predictions for this event. Are you going to stand by those, or has 15 minutes changed your opinion?
15 minutes has definitely changed my opinion. Looking at large mix, I see the toss-up for first and second again being between Daniel Hand and Waltham. Seeing what happened at Shepherd Hill, you could definitely tell that those shows are very much neck and neck right now, especially within quality and technical difficulty of the actual shows, the compositions, and all that kind of stuff. Show design, obviously, I would give to Daniel Hand because it's a thorough story show that you can follow from start to finish. Waltham, Waltham is one of those groups that changes a little bit over time each competition, so definitely could see them being the toss-up. South Windsor I'll put at 3, Lowell I will put at 4 again, and Andover I will put at 5. For small mix, I didn't realize that Natick was going to be going to Tantasqua. Natick has a brand new director this year as well. I forget her name. I'll do a name check. But their choreographers this year are Tori Brindis, Eric Hayes, and Mara Cover. So bringing new choreographers on the scene might help them shape out their show. So I would place Natick first, Scranton second, Hendrick third, Brockton fourth, Shep Hill fifth, Somerset 6th, Leominster 7th. And then single gender correction, Lowell will not be attending with their single gender group. But I definitely can see Scranton actually taking first here, Andover MBT taking second, BTB third, Shep Hill fourth. That's my speed run.
All right. Well, thank you for all of that. The way you were just so confident in rattling off your small mix predictions, I was like, that's why Ethan and I bring people who know what they're talking about on the show. That way they can run through a 7-choir division and just be like, boom, 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 boom. Natick's new director is Bethany Spielman from California. No previous show choir directing experience, but previous curricular choir directing experience out in California. Moving on to Nebraska, we're going to just touch a little bit more on Nebraska. I feel like we've talked about them a lot this episode as well. The Papio South Titan Classic with a lot of familiar faces. Lincoln East, Omaha South, Millard North, Omaha Westside, Elkhorn South, and Gretna. The matchup here up top is Westside and Gretna. Westside on a 3-win streak. Gretna coming off of a tight split caption loss to Lincoln Southwest. Lincoln East coming off of a 4th at Standing Bear. I feel like those top 3 could kind of go any which way.
Yeah, and I probably don't have one of your top three in my top three, so that's kind of how good this competition I think is going to be. Yeah,
You're
I
putting
think
Elkhorn South up there?
what?
Who else is in your top three?
Right now, I have Elkhorn South in my top three.
Ooh.
I think that they're a choir that's hot right now and a choir that can get a podium placement. Now, again, I say that leaving out Lincoln East, and however, Lincoln East has had a week, now 2 weeks to prepare and redefine their show. So their show could be extraordinary from their last competition. So again, I don't live in the area. I don't know. I'm just looking at it plain and simple. You have to ride with the West Side Doran Johnson Last Dance until the very end. I don't want to be the one that I don't want to be the one that predicts it wrong. You get what I'm saying? I want to be right as long as I can, and I think Westside can hold off here. Now again, winning what? They've won 3-2?
They've won 3 so far this year.
They've won 3 so far this year, their first 3 competitions.
Alaska, Blue Valley, and Millard West.
This is a competition that, I mean, if you get used to winning, you get caught cruising. Maybe there's not a lot of hunger there, but I feel like the Doran Johnson effect is going to carry them over into that aspect. So I think Westside's going to take the win. Captions, I have no idea. I'm going to go Gretna in the 2. I'm going to put Elkhorn South in the 3, Lincoln East in the 4. I'm kind of an Omaha South fan, so I'm going to go Miller North in the 5, Omaha South rounding out finals.
Far be it from me to ever accuse Westside of not having hunger. I certainly don't think they're tired of winning, and I certainly don't think they got complacent because Brandon posed a very real threat to them at Music Lives 2 weeks ago, especially when we're talking about a group whose motto is no one sees the target you aim at, they see the one you hit. I certainly don't think that's a group that lacks hunger.
Yeah, but Comp 3 is way different than Comp 2, Will. Comp 3 is way different than Comp 2. You're now entering middle of the season for Westside. And if the fact that they can hold on to this would be amazing. And honestly, a lot think they can maybe hold on to this for the rest of the year. Because they go to Wheaton, right?
Yeah.
And yes, they do. They go to Hastings as well. Yeah. I think this might be the last time. Let me spot check my schedule for Westside. But I think this is the last time that Westside competes in Nebraska this year.
Ooh.
So they're not going to Lewis Central. No. Lewis Central is Minnesota, right?
Lewis Central is in Iowa, but they are actually not going to Lewis Central this year based off of my information. Which will be tough because I feel like they've gone to Lewis Central every year for a long, long time.
Right.
But, sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles. I will be very sad if I don't make it to Wheaton and see that last competition of the year for them. Ethan, you mentioned Omaha South. I feel like I might be a bit of an Omaha South fan right now as well. I'm going to take a stab at this, and I'm going to get absolutely cooked in our predictions pool for this. But I'll take Gretna with choreo at the 1. I'll take Westside with vocals and band at 2. I will take Elkhorn South 3. I will take Omaha South 4. I will tragically drop Lincoln East to the 5. And then that means that Millard North is the 6. And this is just one of those things where I feel terrible putting every group as far down as they are, because I truly believe this is one of those circuits where it's like you can put any of the top 6 groups out on stage a lot of other places in the country, and it's a first or maybe a second place show. Yeah, but that's just kind of where we're at. Michael, do you even want to touch this one?
Oh God, I mean, I've been able to see both Westside's and Gretna shows. Both very technically complex with Stephen Todd choreography. I'll say Gretna first with a clean sweep, ATSC second, and I'm going to switch it up with saying Millard North is going to place 3rd. I think they're hungry. I like their show this year, and I think it's good, and it has the potential to get better. Where they've been placing this year, I know it's not been what they've wanted. Elkhorn South placing 4th, Omaha South 5th, and sadly Lincoln East 6th.
Wow.
I know,
All
very
right.
hot
Well,
take, and people are going to be mad, but we'll see.
I mean, hey, we'll come back next week, Monday, and we'll talk it out. And yeah, we'll talk about how dumb we are. We're going to have someone screen cap this segment, and then we're going to play back or something. We're going to do a bit of a speed run here since we don't have too terribly much time left. Bettendorf Rhythm on the River Bend in Iowa features a marquee matchup of a Minnesota group and an Illinois group. We have Waconia for their last competition of the season, which is kind of crazy. But again, that's, they're one of those choirs that do an early season versus a debuting 75-ish member Wheaton North Flight. And granted, we'll have some other choirs round out the finals field, probably Liberty, probably Davenport North, maybe Cedar Rapids, Jefferson, Western Dubuque in there as well. But quick thoughts on Waconia versus Wheaton North.
Yeah, I'm off the bat. I'm going to just give Waconia the edge up just because of it being their last comp and then wanting to finish strong. They've been so close to the cusp of winning so many competitions at this point. And I think Wheaton North and their members, them being that deep, I think that their sound is going to be impeccable. So I think that could raise the bar on Waconia. However, I think I just have to go with Waconia because this is their last comp and this is Wheaton North first.
I agree with you, Ethan. Did you say 75 members?
I believe they are in the 70s this year.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not an exact count, but for sure past.
Like singer dancers on stage?
Yes.
I've never heard of a group being that big in Illinois before. That's going to be very interesting to see.
Yes.
I think Waconia will definitely place over them, though, because they're hungry for that win. And, again, being their last competition of the year. And then Cedar Rapids – oh, no, not Cedar Rapids, Kennedy. I'm thinking about Happiness. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Moving on to Loveland Showfest in Ohio, we have Hurricane and ETC. Other likely finalists there include Olentangy, Beaver Creek, and Fairfield. Hurricane undefeated so far this year. ETC just lost to Marysville, still a very strong group. Thoughts on where those top two are going to land?
Oh, this is weird. This is going to be a weird competition, and whatever it ends up to is completely going to shake my opinion on some of these groups on the season. I don't know. I know nothing about these two choirs besides the first competitions. I don't know shows. I don't know nothing. We don't even know judges at this point. So I'm kind of just going to roll with ETC. I think losing to Marysville is a very good loss, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like you lose to one of the best choirs in the nation. That's just it. From my understanding, Hurricane can kind of sometimes lose a comp here and there in the past couple of years with third placements and second placements. I have no reason behind any of this, but I'm going to have ETC in my one. Hurricane. I'm kind of rolling with Olentangy in the 3. I'm going to roll with the community on that. I feel like they're a very strong dancing group this season, and I think that will be able
they just beat Loveland.
Yeah, for sure. And then these last two choirs are really tough. I think I'm going to go Beaver Creek in the 4, Fairfield at the 5. Doesn't feel right, and I'm going to have Rogue rounding it out.
Only 5 finalists.
Oh, then there you go. So Beaver Creek will round it out for my predictions. It's wrong, I know, but I can't wait to see what happens. I really can't. It's going to be awesome.
I'm thinking Hurricane first, ETC second, Fairfield third, Olentangy fourth, Beaver Creek fifth.
I will have to go with Hurricane on top here, and I'll take ETC in second, Olentangy in third, Beaver Creek in fourth. And I'll actually take nope. I'll take Fairfield. I'm like, I really want to, but like Rouge isn't having as good of a year as they've had in the past, and Heatwave got beat by Winfield's girls. So I'm like, I don't know if there's a girls group. Like I want to put a girls group in the top 5. I just don't know if I can right now. Mm-hmm. Oak Mountain, Homewood versus Grenada. Other likely finalists include Auburn, Spain Park, and maybe Homewood Nexus. Maybe someone from Middle Division, who knows? But Homewood clean sweep at their first comp out. Grenada taking choreo and second place at Show Choir Nationals last year. Grenada doing a Truman Show theme this year. Where are these two top choirs going to land?
I hope Grenada wins this one, just because I hope that they are the strongest whenever I get to see them. Being selfish, of course, but I think I want Grenada to win this one. I think they can win this one. Correct me if I'm wrong, Will. Is Homewood versus Auburn the upset last year where Auburn beat Homewood? Yes.
That was at Tallahassee, correct.
Yeah, and that was insane. So the fact that these two choirs are going back at it again this time around, I can't wait to see how this holds up. I'm gonna put Homewood in the 2. I'm gonna put Auburn in the 3. Enterprise is also a very good choir, but I'm just gonna have to put them in the 4 and Spain Park rounded it out.
I'm with you, Ethan. I'm pretty much the same in that. I really hope Grenada wins. I love the Truman Show, one of my favorite movies. I hope they're doing it justice this year. After seeing their Ugly Duckling show last year, they definitely can pull off a story show for sure. Mm-hmm. Homewood's always a toss-up in my eyes. So, yeah, definitely seeing Grenada in first at this competition.
I don't even know if I want to touch this one. I feel like I have to play the heel here and say, mark me down for Homewood at the 1. Maybe it's a split caption deal. I feel like Homewood vocally is going to be very, very hard to beat. But then again, like, you also look at their visuals and you're like, that's also going to be very, very hard to beat. But then you look at Grenada and you're like, that's an incredible show too. The other thing I want to point out is that this is basically an inaugural competition for Oak Mountain. They held one in April of 2021 when everything was weird with COVID. But essentially, this is an inaugural comp for Oak Mountain because it was a middle school competition up until 2020. So in terms of Oak Mountain hosting real high schools, no masks, no blacked out performance times, no nothing. For a first comp, this is a great lineup, and credit to Michael Zokin and Gavin Dover and the crew down there at Oak Mountain for assembling such a great lineup. Rolling into our last couple matchups, Pike, we have a Center Grove versus Franklin Central rematch, plus you throw North Central in there. Fourth finalist could be anyone from Columbus North to Whiteland to Mooresville. I may decide to pop out to Pike for finals this week, so that would be interesting if it happened. Obviously, CG has the edge on FC, but Ethan, I'll toss this one to you. CG, FC, North Central, who shakes out where?
Great matchup, Will. I wish I was there with you. Yeah, this is going to be toughy. And just for fun, I'm going to have some weird caption splits. I'm going to have Center Grove in the 1. And I think it's going to be the exact same caption split with a tie with Choreo with Franklin Central. I don't know. I'm just trying to have some fun here. And then I have North Central rounding it out because they're under a new direction this season, correct?
Kind of, sort of. Assistant director stepping up to be head director. Yeah.
So honestly, there actually might not be any friction within that transition. So North Central could really step up their game here. I just don't know. And at this point, seeing Center Grove come out with a win over Franklin Central already, and seeing that Franklin Central was able to compete with choreography, which shout out to Tori Brindas and company. That's a huge, huge win on your side. I'm just going to have to roll with CG at the 1, Franklin Central at the 2, North Central at the 3, which kind of feels basic, but, I feel like it's probably the most likely, if that makes any sense.
I got to switch up FC and North Central. I think that CG is still going to come out first. I think they're going to come back with a vengeance this weekend, and they're going to sweep. Best vocals, best choreo, best band. I would love to see North Central step it up this year. Their show last year was absolutely phenomenal with their directors last year. With this transition year happening, I don't think they're slowing down. And then FC coming in third. In that fourth slot, I would love to see a Whiteland Rhythm Masters come in to play. Was a big fan of them in the later 2010s when Tori and Jared Voss were with them. So hopefully they could step up to the plate and get that fourth spot.
Yeah, it's I'll be very interested on my drive over, assuming I do go to Pike, to see who takes that fourth mixed finalist spot, because I feel like Columbus North has quietly kind of been knocking on the door. They were in finals this past week at Fisher's, just behind Center Grove and Franklin Central as well. It could also be Mooresville, who made finals at Southmont this past week. I do agree with you, like vintage, like right before pandemic era Whiteland is like peak Indiana small school show choir. So it would be nice to see Whiteland in there as well. Our final one, moving on to somewhere where I believe Ethan will be this weekend. We've got the Troy Buchanan Show Choir Invitational headline matchup here. Urbandale versus a debuting Mount Zion versus Blue Valley. Other likely finalists include Marquette plus probably Mount Zion La Femme, perhaps Urbandale Vitality as well. Ethan, are you going to be there? And if so, what's the read?
Yes, and I cannot wait. One of my favorite competitions of the whole year that I get to go to. I've been so blessed. Some of the best food, too. Some of the best barbecue. So if you ever want a good barbecue, pop out. Shout out to the Troy dads for putting that on. My read here is Urbandale has comps under their belt, and they are a very strong choir. I feel like the Home Alone theme is very hit and go. Like if you do it really well, it's really cool. If you don't, it can kind of simmer. I think they're a choir that can do it very well. I mean, it's Urbandale. One of those fantastic choirs. Mount Zion coming out of the gate. I've been blessed to see their show as well. Very cool show. I can't wait to see how they grow into it. How they hit out the gate, who knows? Don't really know. And then Blue Valley is is it safe to say they're the best choir in Kansas?
Well, your competition right now is Atchison, Hiawatha, Seaman, and Arkansas City. So,
Arkansas City! Shout out Arkansas City! Love that we get them in on any podcast show that we try to. That we can.
So I think yes. I think Blue Valley as best choir. Are they 2019 Wichita Flight? Who knows? But because now that's a deep pull. If you have a lot of time, go watch that 2019 Wichita Flight show. That is like the crown Sims call show for those of you who were around back then. But right now, yes, Blue Valley #1 in Kansas.
And from my understanding, I don't think they're going to be wearing lederhosen this show this time around. Who knows? I might be surprised. See it in the hallways or something. But for now, if I'm going to have to do a prediction on it, just off of what I know, I'm going to put Urbandale in the 1. I'm going to put Mount Zion in the 2 and Blue Valley at the 3. After that, it gets a little wonky. I do think Nevada is going to make finals. Sensational Seniors. I think that they're a good mixed choir that has the potential to make finals at this competition. Now, it kind of gets down to where do I see Marquette, Urban Vitality, and all these single gender groups? I don't really know. I really don't know. The fact that Urbandale's groups have been going for a while now, Nevada has a comp under their belt.
So I actually heard a rumor that Nevada's girls outscored their mixed group last week.
Oh, that actually changes things for me.
That might have been 2 weeks ago.
That might change. That is 2 weeks ago, but it kind of changes my thought process. Oh my goodness, I didn't even know Sullivan was going to this competition. So I'm rerounding this. I'm going Urbandale at the 1, Mount Zion at the 2 with choreography. I think 3 is going to be Blue Valley. I think the 4. I
swear, if you say Sullivan right now.
I think the 4.
Just learned they're going instant 4th place group.
I think the 4 is going to be Mount Zion La Femmes. I think the 5 is going to be Sullivan. And I think the 6, now call me crazy, I think Nevada will get that last spot. One of their groups will. But I would not be surprised if somehow Mount Zion You've Got Mail makes finals at this competition. I feel like they have a really fun show. Now, again, is it really good vocally, really good choreography-wise? Maybe no. But, I mean, it's one of those shows that you just have so much fun with. They're doing a WrestleMania theme. So it's just a lot of men in tights all over the place, and it's just a ball. So who knows? I think they could win the crowd over with that. The judges, we will see. But I can't wait to be in Troy, Missouri.
Noted wrestling fan Sam Dollins, who will be at the competition.
He'll love that. Make sure he watches.
Michael, you want to take a stab at it?
God help me. I'm gonna put Irby at the first spot, doing clean sweep with best choreo, best vocals, and best band. Mount Zion taking the 2, Blue Valley taking 3rd. I see La Femmes taking 4th, Vitality 5th. And Sullivan, no, I'm just kidding. Let's see if anything, I could definitely see Nevada jumping in there into that 6th spot.
Oh my gosh. I can't believe we've made it 2 whole predictions and not one person has mentioned Marquette center stage. That's absolutely criminal. I love a good hockey picker show as much as anybody. And I'll take, I think we have okay, you know what? I'm going to do it. Mount Zion, win. Urbandale, 2nd. Blue Valley, 3rd. Marquette, 4th. Mount Zion, La Femme, 5th. Sullivan, 6th.
Well, let's go, Will. Not a boy.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? Like someone is just gonna have to go totally off the hook here. Mount Zion win, Marquette in finals, Sullivan in finals.
Love it.
Yeah, lots of stuff and things going on. A couple of comments to round out the show as we're in hour 5. Goodness gracious. Is it too early to spoil who might be at Heart of America, Los Angeles, says Jeff. Yes, it is too early to spoil that.
Never.
That competition is March 22nd. There's still 6 weeks until that happens. Come back in 4 weeks, 2 weeks ahead of time, and we can talk.
However, it's either you or someone else, Jeff. Just to let you know.
A question from the real CLP. Any of y'all going to Elkhorn South Crystal Cup 2 weekends from now? I will be at Chesterton.
I will fly out just for it.
If you pay Michael's plane ticket, I think you might consider coming out.
I want to go see Nebraska Show Choir.
I do too.
Actually, no, I can't. I'm working at Somerset that day.
It just is so bad that there's so many good competitions because like I so would go out west for one of these amazing competitions out there, but you know, I have to follow Mount Zion and go to Chesterton. I can't miss that opportunity to watch Lamar and Carmel and so many other fantastic groups. So, no, I will not be at Elkhorn South.
Unfortunately not. Although it's certainly a bucket list. I've been in 1 competition in Nebraska. I should have been to 3 by now. I've only been 1. Thank you, Snow, for that. But regardless, I certainly want to make it back out for as well. The cards didn't fall for perhaps going to Gretna this year, which was unfortunate, but it is what it is. With that being said, we are so far over the time that we said that we would spend with you guys tonight. So we're going to wrap the show. Make sure to check out our Wildcard Comp of the Week voting that will happen on Instagram and the platform formerly known as Twitter tomorrow. So make sure to go check that out. homeroomshowchoir.com/blog. All of the running and things. We're going to do Southern poll rankings this week. We're going to come right back at you with Ohio and Nebraska and Indiana poll rankings as well. And perhaps we're even looking at Homeroom's national show choir rankings at the end of the week this week. So if you watched all the way to the end of this stream or on the replay, that retreat, know that perhaps there may be some varsity rankings coming out at the end of the week. So with that being said, for Ethan and Michael, I'm William. Have a great night and have a wonderful show choir Saturday this week. See you guys.